Every year in college football, there's
Some games that slip through the cracks, they get forgotten. So my job here is to bring them back to light, unearth them, open the casket, look inside, and see what we forgot. The first one here, a top 10 Cincinnati at Indiana 2021 Desmond Ridder, Luke Fickell, Sauce Gardner. This team was loaded for UC. Now they're playing at Indiana here. They were a preseason top 20 team, actually, Indiana this year. And obviously they were horrible. They won like 3 games the entire season. But they're up 14-0 in the first half here against a top 10 Cincinnati team. Goal line stand in the fourth quarter gets them the win, obviously going undefeated that year and going to the playoff. Kind of a rare game there. Cincinnati playing at a Big Ten school. The next one here, 2022, the really good TCU squad back then. Oklahoma State TCU. Look at this, guys. A 52-yard field goal in double overtime for Oklahoma State, and he nails it. OSU led 40-37. TCU runs it in for a goal line touchdown to win it, 43-40. Obviously, they went to the Natty that year and lost to Georgia. Max Duggan, shout out. Look at this one. USC, California. Those old school Pac-12 shootouts. Caleb Williams, his first year there, kind of elite. Heisman, playing at Cal. There was no defense in this game. 28-17 halftime. Look at that. So USC storms back early in the third quarter, takes the lead, and then look at this. 5 minutes later, Cal's leading by 13. It was just back and forth, a shootout, and ultimately comes down to a 2-point conversion. 50-49 in regulation. Cal could have won this game. Obviously, it didn't matter because USC lost like their last 5 games of the year anyway, but yeah, what a crazy season there in the Pac-12. The last year ever as a full conference. Look at the stat lines here. Jaden Ott, he's still in college football, actually. He transferred to Oklahoma this year. 3 touchdowns, 150. Mendoza's still in college football. What a guy. And, of course, Caleb Williams at USC, an elite QB there. 2022, Tennessee versus Pittsburgh. I think this was the season opening game or the second week, actually. This was the year Tennessee was number 1 in the country in, like, October. They almost lost to Pittsburgh in September of that year. A wild game. Kenny Pickett, Hendon Hooker for Tennessee. It's crazy. And it comes down to a fourth down touchdown for Pittsburgh to get the game to overtime. And ultimately, down 7 in OT. Kenny Pickett comes up short on a deep ball. Couldn't connect with them. And Tennessee wins this game on the road, proving to be a very big victory because they were number 1 a month later. 2022, what a great time. Look at this one. Texas State beating Baylor. This must have been 2023 maybe. Kind of random. I like Texas State though this year. That's my one group of 5 team that I like. They have a good growing program down there in San Marcos. Texas State Bobcats, watch out for them. Oh boy. So Michael Penix in Washington. Yeah, the playoff year. They almost lost to Washington State. That was Cam Ward. That was Cam Ward right there for Washington State. They had a 3rd and 11, 2 minutes to go in the game, a tie game at midfield. If they got the first down there, they probably beat Washington, and they don't go to the national title game. Obviously, they lost to Michigan anyway, but it's crazy. Almost a huge upset there in the Pac-12. Again, the last year of the Pac-12 and the Apple Cup as we know it. Good times. Look at that. They win the game on a walk-off field goal in the rain to go to the college football playoff. Washington. Oh, Lord. Okay. So the year Purdue went to the Big Ten championship game, Aiden O'Connell. This was 2023, just 2 years ago. What a strange time. So the Big Ten West never won a Big Ten title game. It was actually a close game at halftime here. They're only down 1 point. But yeah, there was no way Harbaugh was losing this game to Purdue. This is the year Michigan won it all anyway. They were a great defense. Obviously, the cheating scandal, you could say, Connor Stallions, whatever. But seeing Purdue at least getting a shot at the Big Ten title was so cool. And obviously, they lost this game by about 20 points in the end. It was all said and done. J.J. McCarthy, what a beast. Fresno State versus Oregon. I think 2021. This was the week before Oregon went to Ohio State and beat them in 2021. They were number 11 in the country, losing to Fresno State in the fourth quarter. Jake Hayner, the quarterback for Fresno State, elite. Where's he at these days? I don't even know. But they fell just short. Look at this. The next week, though, Fresno State goes on the road to a top 15 UCLA team, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and they beat UCLA in the Rose Bowl, 39-37. We love the Fresno State Bulldogs. What a great win there for the program. Oh, my God. Okay, guys, I just rebooted, actually. I just had a full reboot because I'm seeing this scoreboard from 2014. The number one Florida State Seminoles and Jameis Winston, the year after his Heisman run, playing Oklahoma State in Jerry World in Dallas, Arlington, whatever. This is pretty jarring to look at right now. Florida State, number one, playing a season opener with but this was the year Florida State was like number one the entire year. They were barely winning these games in 2014, and they go to the playoff as like the 4 seed or whatever. Maybe it was the 3 seed. They got blown out by Oregon in that playoff game with Jameis Winston on the ground. That was brutal. But yeah, they were much better in 2013. And then 2014, they were just barely getting by in these games, kind of like they were back a few years ago when they went undefeated and they missed the playoff. Kind of the same vibe there, but pretty weird to see that. Look at this one. Stanford versus Rice. You're probably wondering, why is this in here? Why is number 14 Stanford playing Rice in this video? Well, guys, this game was in Australia. This game was played in Sydney, Australia for some reason. It was called the Sydney Cup. So, yeah, David Shaw, the coach for Stanford. Back when Stanford was a relevant program, they were good back then. And they played Rice in Sydney. And those fans down there, down under, saw a blowout, 52-0, something like that. Kind of ridiculous there. Oh, yeah, 2021, I think. Georgia versus Arkansas. So if I recall, this game was hyped up so much for some reason. As, you know, Arkansas is a top 10 team. It was early in the year. You had Stetson Bennett for Georgia. This game was like all over ESPN and everything. It was a total blowout, total train wreck for Arkansas. They were not ready for Georgia. This was before Georgia was like a powerhouse. This was back when Georgia was yet, you know, a back-to-back title winner. They were still proving themselves early in the year. Kirby Smart, nobody believed in them. And they just thrashed teams all year back in 2021 to eventually win the title against Bama. Crazy stuff there. And then, yeah, just one more in here, kind of a random game. Probably 2019 or 2018. Look at your boy James Franklin. Cold-blooded, stone cold on the sidelines there, thrashing Michigan, the number 2 team in the country, Penn State back then. But of course, you know, every year they lose to Ohio State and they miss the playoff until last year because they expand the playoff. Penn State finally got a bid to the playoff. I think in this video, or this season in particular, they played in the Rose Bowl maybe after this. Maybe it was the USC Rose Bowl, or maybe it was the year after that. But yeah, Penn State for a long time, they would always win 10 games, always lose to Ohio State, always miss the playoff. It was the same script every year. That script finally broke last year, making the semifinals and then almost beating Notre Dame in the semifinals. But anyways, guys, that's all for this video. If you have more ideas, put in the comments below. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Bye.